Adrian Locke was a man who had everything. He was a millionaire many times over, with a bright mind and a heart full of ambition. From his high-rise office in the city of New Dawn, he looked down at the sparkling lights below and thought about the empire he had built. Technology, space travel, new energy sources. Adrian's company was at the center of it all. People admired him, and many wanted to be like him. But Adrian felt something was missing. His personal life was complicated. Adrian was married to Claire, a smart and kind woman who stood by his side for many years. Together, they had built a life full of comfort and success. But as his business grew, so did the distance between them. Claire spent her days managing charity work and art projects, while Adrian's time was taken by endless meetings and new ventures. In the midst of this, there was Lila. She was young, free-spirited, and full of life. Everything that seemed to slip away from Adrian's daily routine. They met at a technology conference, where Layla showed a natural curiosity about the universe and all its secrets. Adrian was drawn to her energy and passion. Over time they grew close. Layla understood Adrian in ways Claire did not. Tonight, Adrian was making a decision that would change everything. He had booked a private trip to a newly discovered planet called Verdara, a place far from Earth, untouched and full of mystery. He wanted to take Lila with him. He wanted to escape the pressures, the public eyes, and the constant stress. Claire did not know about this trip. She was home, busy with her own plans, trusting Adrian as always. Adrian told himself this was just a break, a chance to breathe, and nothing more. But deep down, he wondered if this journey could bring answers, not just about the stars, but about himself. The night before the trip, Adrian sat in his penthouse apartment. The city lights shone through the windows, but his mind was far away. Lila was waiting at a small cafe nearby. He sent her a quick message, "Ready for the adventure?" Layla replied instantly, "Can't wait. See you soon." When Adrian arrived at the cafe, Lila greeted him with a bright smile. Her eyes sparkled with excitement, and Adrian felt a rush of hope he hadn't felt in months. "Are you nervous?" Leela asked. "A little," Adrian admitted. "It's not every day you leave everything behind and go to a new world." Layla laughed softly. "That's what makes it exciting." Together, they walked to the private spaceport where a sleek starship waited for them. The ship was small but advanced, designed for comfort and speed. Adrian watched as the city faded behind them, the stars growing brighter with every second. Inside the ship, Leela looked out the window at the blackness of space. "Do you think we'll find something new there? Something that will change our lives?" Adrian smiled. "I don't know. But maybe that's the point. Sometimes you have to go far away to find yourself." The journey to Verdara was long but smooth. Adrian used the time to think about his life, his choices, his mistakes, and his hopes. He thought about Claire, about the moments they had shared and the silence that had grown between them. He wondered if this trip was a way to escape or a chance to heal. Lila broke the silence. "Adrian, do you ever regret anything?" He looked at her. "Sometimes, but regret is heavy. It's better to learn and move forward." She nodded. "I like that. Maybe this trip is our chance to move forward." As the starship approached Verdara, Adrian's heart beat faster. He had heard stories about the planet, a world full of life untouched by human hands. Green forests, glowing plants, and skies filled with strange colors. A place where humanity could start fresh or simply find peace. The ship landed gently on soft grass. Adrian and Lila stepped out and took a deep breath. The air was fresh, cool, and filled with the scent of unknown flowers. Around them, the world was alive with color and sound. Layla smiled wide. "It's beautiful," Adrian nodded. "More than I imagined." They began to explore the strange new world. The trees glowed faintly, and strange birds sang melodies that felt both alien and familiar. As they walked, Adrian felt the weight of the city and his worries lift, replaced by a quiet hope. But even in this peaceful place, Adrian could not forget his life back home. What would Claire think if she knew? Would she understand his need to run? Or would this trip change everything in ways he could not yet see? That night, under the bright stars of Verdara, Adrian and Lila sat by a small fire. The planet's strange creatures watched quietly from a distance. Adrian looked at Lila and said, "Maybe this trip isn't just about running away. Maybe it's about finding something we lost inside ourselves." Lila reached out and took his hand. "Whatever we find here, we'll face it together." Adrian smiled, feeling a warmth that had nothing to do with the fire. For the first time in a long time, he felt ready for whatever came next. The morning sun rose slowly over the strange land of Verdara, casting soft pink and purple light across the glowing trees and gentle hills. Adrian woke in the small shelter the ship's crew had prepared for them. Outside, the air smelled fresh, like a mixture of flowers and rain. He stretched and looked over at Lila, who was already awake and staring out the window. "This place feels different," she said quietly. "Like it's alive in a way we don't understand yet." Adrian nodded. "It is different. We left Earth behind. Everything we know is gone for now." They dressed quickly and stepped outside. The ground beneath their feet was soft and warm, covered with tiny plants that glowed faintly in the morning light. Strange birds with colorful feathers flew past, singing sweet songs that filled the air. Adrian took a deep breath. The planet was beautiful, but it also felt mysterious. He wasn't sure what to expect next. They began to walk through the forest, following a narrow path that seemed to have been made by creatures long ago. As they moved deeper into Verdara, the trees grew taller and their leaves shimmered with colors that changed like a rainbow. Lila stopped and pointed to a plant nearby. "Look at this," she said. "It's glowing, but it's not like any light I've seen before." Adrian bent down and touched the plant's leaves carefully. They felt soft and warm, almost like they were breathing. Maybe the whole planet is connected somehow, Adrian said, thinking aloud. "Like one big living thing." Lila smiled. "That would be amazing. Maybe we can learn from it." They walked for hours, exploring the forests and small clearings filled with strange flowers. They found a stream with water so clear it looked like glass. The water reflected the sky and the shining trees above. Adrian knelt and drank from the stream. The water was fresh and pure, unlike anything he had tasted on Earth. He felt a calmness spreading inside him. As they rested by the stream, Adrian took out a small device to scan the plants and animals around them. The machine beeped quietly, showing readings that told him Verdara was full of life and energy. It was a place where nature thrived in perfect balance. "This place could teach us a lot," Adrian said. "Not just about biology, but about how to live better." Lila looked thoughtful. "Do you think Earth could be like this one day?" Adrian sighed. "I hope so. But it will take a lot of change. People have to care about each other and the planet." Suddenly, they heard a sound in the distance, soft footsteps and voices speaking in a language neither of them understood. They looked at each other, curious and a little cautious. From behind a large tree, a group of tall, slender beings stepped into view. Their skin shimmered like the leaves on Verdara, and their eyes were bright and kind. They wore simple clothes, made of natural materials that seemed to glow softly. Adrian and Lila froze for a moment, unsure what to do. But the beings smiled gently and made peaceful gestures with their hands. One of them stepped forward and spoke in clear, slow English, surprising Adrian and Lila. "Welcome to Verdara. We are the Veridans. We have watched your arrival and mean you no harm." Adrian relaxed and returned the smile. "Thank you. We are visitors from Earth. We come with respect and hope to learn." The leader of the Veridans nodded. "We are glad you came. Few humans have made the journey here. This planet is special. It lives and breathes as one." We live in harmony with it and each other." Lila looked amazed. "How is it possible? On Earth, people fight over resources and power. It's hard to imagine a place like this." The Veridan leader said, "We learned long ago that cooperation brings strength. We care for the planet, and the planet cares for us. We share everything and help each other grow." Adrian thought about his life back on Earth. The busy cities, the endless competition, the loneliness hidden behind success. He felt a mix of envy and hope. The Veridans invited Adrian and Lila to follow them to their village. As they walked, Adrian noticed how the plants and animals seemed to respond to the Veridans' presence. Flowers turned their faces toward them, and soft lights appeared in the trees. The village was unlike anything Adrian had seen before. Homes were built inside giant trees, shaped by the living wood itself. The buildings glowed gently with natural light, and paths were lined with flowers that seemed to sing softly. The Veridans showed Adrian and Lila their way of life, how they worked together to gather food, care for the young, and protect the forests. There was no rush or stress, only calm and purpose. Adrian asked, "How do you decide who leads or makes choices?" The Veridan smiled. "We do not have rulers or bosses. Everyone's voice is heard. Decisions come from listening and understanding, not from power," Lila whispered to Adrian. "It's like a dream." "Could we bring some of this back to Earth?" Adrian nodded slowly. "If only people would listen." That evening, the Veridans held a small gathering around a glowing fire. They shared stories about the planet's history and the connection between all living things. One elder said, "Verdara is alive because we respect it. We are part of it, not above it. Humans have great potential, but you must learn to live with respect and kindness." Adrian felt a deep feeling inside, a mix of wonder and responsibility. He looked at Lila, who seemed moved by the stories as well. As night fell and the stars shone brightly above, Adrian realized that Verdara was more than a beautiful place. It was a lesson waiting to be learned. And maybe, just maybe, this journey could change him forever. The next morning, the sun rose slowly over the peaceful village of the Veridans. Adrian woke feeling different, lighter, more curious. He looked at Lila, who was already up, her eyes shining with excitement. "Today," they said, "we will learn more about their history," Lila said. "I want to understand how they live so peacefully." Adrian nodded. "Me too. Maybe they can teach us something important." They followed the Veridans through the forest, walking on soft paths covered with glowing leaves. The air smelled sweet and fresh, and the sounds of birds and animals filled the quiet. As they walked, Adrian noticed how the Veridans moved gently, almost as if they were part of the trees themselves. After some time, they reached a large clearing. In the center stood a tall structure made of living wood. It twisted toward the sky like a giant tree, with branches spreading wide and leaves glowing softly in the sunlight. The Veridans called it the heart of Verdara. The leader of the group, a Veridan named Elian, smiled and said, "This is where we come to remember our past and to learn from it. The heart of Verdara holds the stories of our people and the knowledge of our planet." Adrian and Lila stepped closer, feeling a quiet power in the air. Elian placed his hand on the trees, bark, and suddenly, the surface of the wood began to glow. Images appeared, moving like pictures in a storybook. Adrian watched in awe as he saw scenes of the planet's history, great storms, changing seasons, and the arrival of the first Veridans. He saw how the beings had learned to live in harmony with the land, listening to the voices of the trees and animals. Lila whispered, "It's like the planet is alive, and it remembers everything." Elian nodded. "Yes, Verdara is a living world. We are its caretakers, but it also cares for us. It teaches us to live with respect, kindness, and patience." Adrian felt a deep respect for the Veridans. Their way of life was so different from the fast pace and endless competition of Earth. He realized that their peace came from understanding And connection, not from power or control. As the story in the heart of Verdara ended, Elian spoke. Again, we have watched your kind from afar. Humans have great strength and creativity. You have built wonders in the stars. But you often forget the balance between progress and care. Adrian listened carefully. He thought about his own world, the crowded cities, the struggles for resources, and the loneliness behind success. Elian continued, we want to share what we have learned. Not to teach or control, but to offer a new way of thinking. A way that can bring hope to your people. Leela smiled softly. That sounds like the future we want. Adrian looked around the clearing and then back at Elian. How can we bring these lessons back to Earth? It's so different there. The Veridan leader said, change begins with one person's choice, then another and another. When enough hearts open, the world will follow. Adrian thought about Claire, his wife, and the life he had left behind. He wondered if she would understand this new vision. Later, Elian invited Adrian and Lila to visit a nearby place where the Veridans worked on special projects. It was a garden filled with plants that glowed with healing light and machines powered by the planet's energy, all designed to help the environment and the people. Adrian was amazed. Your technology is different from ours. It's gentle but powerful. Elian smiled. We use what the planet gives us. We do not take more than we need. We believe in giving back. Leela looked at Adrian. Maybe this is what Earth needs, not just new machines, but a new way to think about life. Adrian agreed. I want to learn everything. If there's a way to help both people and the planet, we must find it. As the day ended, Adrian felt hope growing inside him. Verdara was not just a beautiful world. It was a sign that humanity could do better. But deep down, he also felt a question stirring. How would his wife and the people of Earth react to these ideas? Would they listen? Or was this trip just a dream too far from reality? That night, Adrian sat alone outside the village. The stars above Verdara shone brightly, and the soft glow of the plants lit the ground around him. He thought about the choices ahead, the chance to change himself, to change his life, and maybe even to change the world. Lila joined him quietly. What are you thinking? Adrian smiled. I'm thinking about how much work it will take, but I also believe it's worth it. Lila reached for his hand. We're in this together. Adrian looked up at the sky and felt a new sense of purpose. The journey was just beginning, and the future was full of possibilities. The morning light filtered softly through the glowing leaves of Verdara's forest as Adrian and Leela prepared for another day with the Veridans. The peaceful hum of nature surrounded them, a soothing melody unlike anything on Earth. Adrian felt a calm he had never experienced before. The worries of his busy life, the stress of his business empire, and even the complicated feelings about his wife Claire seemed to fade into the background. Here, on this distant planet, everything was simpler yet richer in meaning. Elian, the Veridan leader, greeted them with a warm smile. Today, we will show you how we live together, how we care for one another and for Verdara. Adrian was eager to learn. We have so much to learn from you, he said honestly. The group moved through the village, where families were gathered, working and playing in harmony. Children laughed as they chased glowing butterflies, elders shared stories, and everyone seemed connected by a strong but gentle bond. Elian explained, our society is built on unity. Every person has a role, but no one is above another. We listen deeply to each other, and we help when help is needed. This balance keeps us strong. Lila looked around, her eyes wide. It feels like a big family. It is, Elian said. A family that includes the planet itself. They stopped by a large garden where Veridans tended plants that shimmered with healing energy. Elian invited Adrian and Lila to join in. As they worked side by side with the natives, Adrian noticed how everyone moved with care and respect. Not just for the plants but for each other. Adrian asked, "How do you solve problems when you disagree?" Elian smiled softly. "We do not argue to win. We listen to understand. When a problem arises, we gather and share feelings honestly. Then we find a solution that honors everyone's needs." Leela nodded slowly. "That's very different from Earth, where people often fight and don't listen." Adrian sighed. "It's true. On Earth, success is often about power. That can make people forget kindness." The Veridans showed Adrian and Layla their way of learning too. Children were taught to observe nature, to feel connected to the world around them, and to respect all life. Adults practiced meditation and shared their knowledge openly. Adrian felt inspired. "I wish more people on Earth could experience this." Layla smiled. "Maybe we can bring some of these ideas back." As the day went on, Adrian began to understand the deep meaning behind the Veridans' way of life. It was not just about peace. It was about balance, respect, and caring for the future. In the evening, the community gathered around a large glowing tree that seemed to pulse with life. The Veridans sang soft songs, their voices blending with the sounds of the forest. Adrian sat quietly, feeling a new sense of hope. For the first time in a long while, he saw a vision for the future, one where people could work together, care for the planet, and build a better world. Later, as the stars appeared in the sky, Adrian and Lila walked alone through the glowing forest. "Do you think Earth can change?" Leela asked. Adrian looked up at the stars. "It has to. We can't keep going the way we are." Lila squeezed his hand. "We can start small, maybe with us." Adrian smiled. "Yes, together." That night, Adrian sent a message to Claire. He told her about Verdara and the Veridans, about the hope he felt and the lessons he was learning. He asked her to listen with an open heart, to imagine a future where humanity could be stronger by caring for each other and the planet. He did not know if she would understand. But for the first time, Adrian believed that change was possible, not just for him, but for all of Earth. The days on Verdara passed in a gentle rhythm. Adrian and Leela spent their time learning from the Veridans, walking through glowing forests and feeling the calm strength of the planet. Each moment brought new understanding and hope. But despite the beauty around him, Adrian's thoughts often returned to Earth, to Claire, to his company, and to the life he had paused. He wondered how things were back home, if Claire was thinking of him, and what she was doing while he was so far away. One evening, as the twin moons of Verdara rose in the sky, Adrian received a surprise message on his small communicator. A clear, warm voice filled his ears. "Adrian, it's Claire," she said softly. Adrian's heart leaped. He had not expected to hear from her so soon. "Claire," he replied, his voice steady but filled with emotion. "It's good to hear your voice." Claire's tone was calm but serious. "I've been watching your journey from afar. I know you needed space, but I want you to know I've been working on something important. A project that could change everything for humanity." Adrian listened carefully as Claire explained. She was leading a team of scientists and engineers on Earth, working to connect human technology with the natural energy of Verdara. Her goal was to create tools that could help heal Earth's environment, improve life for all people, and build a future where humans lived in balance with nature. "We want to learn from what you're discovering," Claire said. "But we also want to create something new, something that brings hope and unity." Adrian felt a surge of pride. Claire's vision matched the lessons he had been learning from the Veridans. "Your work sounds amazing," Adrian said. "I'm seeing things here that make me believe change is possible. This trip, it's opening my eyes." Claire smiled through the communicator. "I hope when you return, we can work together. Not just as partners in life, but as partners in a new future." The message ended with a promise of hope, a chance to rebuild trust and create something meaningful. After the call, Adrian sat quietly, feeling a mix of relief and determination. He realized that this trip was not just an escape but a journey toward healing for himself, for his relationship with Claire, and for the world. Lila joined him and noticed the change in his eyes. "What did she say?" Adrian smiled softly. "She's working on something important. A way to bring what we're learning here back to Earth." Lila's face lit up. "That's wonderful. Maybe this is the start of something bigger than we imagined." For the first time, Adrian felt hope not only for himself, but for the future of humanity. The next days were filled with renewed purpose. Adrian worked with the Veridans to understand how their technology and way of life could inspire change back home. He and Leela spent long hours discussing ideas, dreaming of a world where people could live in harmony with nature and each other. Yet, despite the excitement, Adrian knew challenges awaited. The world he had left behind was filled with old habits and deep divisions. Change would not be easy, but with Claire's message and the lessons of Verdara in his heart, Adrian felt ready to face whatever came next. One night, as they walked beneath the glowing trees, Adrian said to Lila, "This journey has shown me that real strength comes from connection, with people, with nature, and with hope." Leela smiled, squeezing his hand. "And together, we can make that strength grow." Adrian looked up at the stars above Verdara and knew that his life was changing forever, not just because of the place he was in, but because of the people he loved and the future he wanted to build. The days on Verdara moved gently, like the soft glow of the plants around Adrian and Lila. Every moment was filled with learning, peace, and the quiet power of a world that lived in balance. Adrian felt a change inside himself. The man who once only cared about business, wealth, and control was now thinking deeply about kindness, connection, and respect. Verdara was not just a place. It was a lesson, one he needed to carry back to Earth. One morning, as sunlight touched the glowing leaves, Adrian sat with Elian, the Veridan leader, beneath the great heart of Verdara. The tree pulsed softly, a steady rhythm like a calm heartbeat. "I feel different here," Adrian said honestly. "I see now that my life before was missing something important. I want to change." Elian smiled gently. Change begins inside. When one heart opens, it can inspire many others. But it takes courage to face the old ways and build something new. Adrian nodded. "I'm ready. I want to return to Earth, but not just to go back to the same life. I want to bring these lessons, unity, respect, and care with me." Lila joined them, her eyes shining with hope. "We've learned so much here. If people could see this world, maybe they would understand." The Veridans shared more stories about how they faced challenges long ago, times when their society struggled with fear and conflict. But they chose to listen, to forgive, and to rebuild. Their strength came from their willingness to change together. Adrian realized that Earth was not so different. Humans had the power to learn and grow, just like the Veridans. It was not too late. That afternoon, Adrian sent another message to Claire. He told her about his decision to return soon, but with a new purpose. He wanted them to work side by side, combining human creativity with Verdara's wisdom. Claire's reply was full of warmth and excitement. She believed in the future they could build together. As the days passed, Adrian and Lila prepared for their journey home. The Veridans gave them gifts, small plants that glowed with healing light, and devices powered by the planet's natural energy. These gifts were symbols of hope and a reminder of the lessons they had learned. On their last night on Verdara, Adrian walked with Lila beneath the glowing sky. He felt ready for the challenges ahead, the difficult conversations, the changes in his life, and the work to rebuild trust. "I'm not the same man who arrived here," Adrian said softly. "This trip has changed me," Lila smiled. "And it will change Earth too, if we believe in it." Adrian looked at the stars, feeling a deep peace. The future was uncertain, but filled with possibility. As the ship lifted off from Verdara the next morning, Adrian watched the glowing forests fade below. He carried the planet's lessons in his heart and a new hope for what was to come. The starship moved swiftly through space, carrying Adrian and Lila back to Earth. Outside the window, stars streaked past as the ship left Verdara behind. The glowing forests and peaceful villages were now memories, but their lessons stayed with Adrian like a quiet fire inside him. Adrian sat in the ship's small cabin, thinking about everything he had learned. The Veridans' way of life, their kindness, their respect for nature, and their deep connection to one another had changed him. He knew that returning to Earth would not be easy. The world he had left was full of challenges, old habits, and many people who might not understand, but Adrian was ready. He felt a new strength, not from wealth or power, but from hope and understanding. Beside him, Lila watched the stars. "Do you think Earth is ready for this?" Adrian smiled gently. "It has to be. We can help it change, we must." When the ship entered Earth's atmosphere, Adrian felt a rush of mixed emotions. The familiar blue sky and green forests welcomed him home, but so did the weight of responsibility. His mind was full of plans, how to bring the Veridans lessons to people, how to rebuild his relationship with Claire, and how to start a new chapter in his life. The starship landed softly near Adrian's city. As they stepped out, the busy world surrounded them. Cars hummed, people hurried, and tall buildings reached toward the sky. It was the same city Adrian had left, yet everything felt different. Adrian took a deep breath. "Let's go see Claire." Lila nodded, smiling warmly. Together, they made their way to Adrian's home. Inside, Claire waited. When she saw Adrian, her eyes filled with surprise and then relief. She stood and embraced him tightly. "Welcome home," she said softly. Adrian held her close. "I'm home, and I'm ready to start something new." Over the next days, Adrian and Claire talked long and openly. They shared their hopes, fears, and dreams. Adrian told Claire about Verdara, the Veridans, their peaceful ways, and the lessons he had learned. Claire listened carefully and shared her own hopes for their future. She told Adrian about the project she had been leading, a plan to use technology inspired by Verdara's natural energy to heal Earth's environment and bring people together. Together, they decided to combine their efforts. Adrian would use his company's resources and connections, while Claire would guide the project with her knowledge and heart. Layla, too, became part of their team, bringing fresh ideas and energy. The new mission was clear: to build a future where technology and nature worked hand in hand, where people cared for one another and the planet, and where hope could grow. At first, the road was not easy. Many people resisted change. Old habits and doubts slowed progress. But Adrian and Claire remained patient and persistent. They shared stories of Verdara, of the Veridans' way of life, and the possibilities for Earth. Slowly, their message spread. Communities began to listen. New projects started to heal damaged lands, improve clean energy, and create spaces where people could connect and support each other. Adrian found joy in this work, a joy he had never felt in all his years of success. He saw families smiling, children playing in green parks, and neighbors coming together. The world was beginning to change. One evening, Adrian, Claire, and Layla stood together watching a sunset, the sky painted with bright colors and soft clouds. Adrian looked at the two people who had changed his life. "This is just the beginning," he said. Claire smiled. "Together, we can build a better world." Layla nodded, "A world full of hope." As the sun dipped below the horizon, Adrian felt peace. The journey that started with a secret trip to a distant planet had led him to a new purpose. A purpose bigger than himself, filled with kindness, respect, and unity. The future was bright, and humanity was ready to shine.